Go ahead, Ken.
Go ahead. Okay. Okay, welcome. I'd like to call to order the February 28th, 2022 Planning Commission Board of Adjustment hearing meeting. You will note there is just 3 board members tonight. 2 of them are absent. I need to read the meeting procedure before we start. All persons in attendance at the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment PC/BOA meetings are expected to comply with the following meeting procedure. Thank you in advance for helping making this a manageable meeting. Copies of agenda item materials are available for public viewing on the table located at the back of the meeting room. These materials are not to leave the table so that others in attendance may also view them. Please turn phones to vibrate or off during the meeting and conduct any sidebar conversations outside of the meeting room. Interruption or other interference with the orderly conduct of the board meeting will not be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order, and disruptive persons will be removed from the meeting. The chair may terminate a speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, the speaker persists in improper conduct or remarks. Written material concerning agenda items must be submitted to the Environmental Services Department by 3:30 p.m. on the Wednesday immediately prior to the meeting date. Written materials will not be accepted after this deadline or at the meeting because the board will not have sufficient time to review them prior to the meeting. Such material must state the agenda item for which it is being submitted and the name and address of the submitting party. Planning Commission business is conducted first, followed by Board of Adjustment business. The chair will call the meeting to order and explain the meeting procedure. The chair will read each agenda item into the record and ask the applicants to come forward to the presenter's table, state his/her names and addresses for the record, and explain their request. The board will then discuss the agenda item with the applicant. The chair will then ask for public comment on the agenda item. To facilitate an orderly, efficient meeting, there is a 3-minute speaking time limit per speaker per agenda item unless the chair allows a speaker additional time. The chair may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, the speaker persists in improper conduct or remarks. When the chair recognizes a speaker, he may approach the audience podium and microphone, state his/her full name and address for the record, and write such on the speaker log, and then share his/her comments. The audience podium microphone must be used by the recognized speaker because the meeting is recorded. A member of the public may not donate his/her speaking time to another speaker. A speaker should state his/her comments and address the issue, not the applicants. All comments are to be directed toward the board. Please do not repeat comments already made by previous speakers. The chair reserves the right to ask a group with similar comments to appoint a spokesperson. If written comments have been submitted to the board, please do not read them aloud during the meeting as they are already a part of the record and copies thereof have been given to the board. After everyone wanting to speak on an agenda item has done so, the chair will close the public comment period on the agenda item. No further public comment will be taken after this point. The chair will give the applicant an opportunity to address issues raised during public comment. The board will then continue its discussion on the agenda item. The chair will entertain a motion on it. The board may make a motion to pass, deny, or table an item. Once a motion is made and seconded, the board will develop findings of fact for conditional use permit and variance applications, and then vote on the motion. Once a vote is taken on an agenda item, the board will move on to the next agenda item. Meetings commence at 6 p.m. and continue until all agenda items have been heard or until 10 p.m. No new agenda items shall be considered after 9:45 p.m. The board may, at its discretion, continue an item that is on the floor at 10 p.m. Any remaining agenda items shall be continued to another date, time, preferably the immediate following Tuesday at 6 p.m. and no further public notice will be provided for such a meeting continuation. The board, through the chair, may modify these procedures prior to a meeting or an agenda item. Okay, first order of business is Planning Commission approval of the minutes of January 24th, 2022. If everyone has had a chance to read them, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
This is Veronica. I make a motion to approve the Planning Commission January 24th, 2022 meeting minutes.
This is Mark, I'll second that.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to approve the minutes from the January 24th, 2022 meeting. Mark, how do you vote?
This is Mark, I vote aye.
Veronica?
This is Veronica. I vote aye.
And this is Ken. I vote aye. Motion passed. We have no old business and no new business in the Planning Commission, so we'll move on to the Board of Adjustment. Approval of the minutes from the January 24th meeting. If they've been read, I would entertain a motion to approve them.
This is Mark, I make a motion to approve the January minutes.
And this is Veronica. I second the motion.
Motion made and seconded to approve the January 24th, 2022 Board of Adjustment meeting minutes. Mark, how do you vote?
Mark, I vote aye.
Veronica?
This is Veronica. I vote aye.
This is Ken. I vote aye. We'll now move on. There is no old business under planning or the Board of Adjustment. We'll move on to new business. Our first item is applicant 1V22 by Benedict Properties, LLC, part of the southwest 1/4 of the southeast 1/4, section 36, Township 143, Range 32, Lakeport Township, parcel 19.36.01000. Applicant is requesting a variance from section 4 of the subdivision ordinance to do an administrative subdivision of the property within 5 years of a prior administrative subdivision and create a tract that does not comply with the 300-foot minimum lot width requirements. Will a representative or individual representing Benedict Properties please come forward? State your name
Nancy Jacobson,
and address, please.
where I live.
Huh?
Where I live,
Yes,
11039 Steamboat Loop Northwest, Walker, Minnesota.
okay. Would you please explain what you are requesting in your application, please?
Well, we didn't know all the procedures, so.
Speak closer into the
I
microphone.
said, we didn't know all the procedures, so we put this piece of property up for sale. We had purchased it for rental and had people that came in and absolutely trashed it and gave them an eviction notice. They were out in end of October. Then we remodeled the whole thing and we decided we do not want to go, just don't want to have anything like that happen again. We wanted to put it up for sale, but wanted to split it off so that my son can keep the rest of the property for hunting and recreation.
Okay. You can pull the microphone towards you a little bit if you're uncomfortable there. Oops. Good job.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. And so you have submitted then an application that splits it into two tracts, one of 2.8 acres and the other of 26.4
Yes.
acres. Okay, questions from the board?
This is Veronica speaking. I don't necessarily have some questions, but I do have a couple comments. I don't have any problem with the 10-foot setback that they have, that they're short, the little minimum width. requirement. They don't have the 300 feet, they have only the 290, and I'm okay with that. The proposed house parcel tract is laid out reasonably, giving the existing driveway and the structures and the property line must be worked around, therefore the minimum width deviation is necessary, so I'm okay with that. Any comments from?
Mark, any questions?
Yeah, this is Mark. Question really is for Eric, and that is if we were to allow this subdivision to happen, we're within the 5 years, is that correct, of when it was? So does that change the time frame if anybody would try to do something different going forward? If we allowed it, then if somebody wanted to divide it further, could they, or do they still under this 5 year? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Eric speaking, that would depend somewhat on how you might put any conditions on approval. Absent any of that sort, if this was then acted upon, we would then apply a 5 year period going forward from the date that this application might be approved.
Okay. Okay.
This is Ken, for the record, this parcel is not in the shoreland zone, so it comes under the jurisdiction of the subdivision ordinance and not the shoreland ordinance. Is that correct, Eric?
Yep, I just turned on the shoreland layer, so you can see
Okay.
it runs just south of the property in question.
There was some public comment expressing concern with the gravel pit that actually currently encroaches into the remainder tract. Actually, Eric, if you put up I was gonna look at the map. I was quite surprised when I looked at it that it encroaches quite a ways in the pond as well as the area. Do you have any intent in the future to allow further expansion of that into the remainder tract property?
Are you saying our property is part of the pit?
Well, you can look at the map here. You can see there's a large part of the pit on your property.
Okay.
Look at you see the drawing up there, that
Oh,
white
I
area?
can see it right here.
Okay, and that pond, which was a backfill of water, apparently from the mining that took place, is also on your property.
I'm not even aware of that.
Okay. So, the question I would have is, do you have any intent to, I think it's not being mined now at this point, but do you have any intent?
Well, I heard that the sand pit was, isn't it abandoned?
It is for now, but that doesn't mean it can't be.
Well, wasn't it abandoned because there's no sand left anymore?
Yes, but there is on your property.
Oh, I see. Oh, would we use it for a sand pit? Is that what you're saying? I'm not clear what you're saying.
I'm asking whether you would have any intent to allow gravel pit mining on your property in the future.
I don't, he wants it for hunting. He has no reason to want to sell it.
Okay. The reason I bring that up is that clearly those two ponds that backfilled, they were dug down to the water line. And if you're gonna now have a house close by, if that got expanded, there's potential aquifer or at least water table seepage. So I don't know, Eric, whether this is possible or not, but is there any way that, is it okay if we were to maybe put a condition that no further expansion of the gravel pit is allowed in your remainder tract? Would you be okay with that?
I would think so, yeah.
Can we do that, or is that?
And what you're saying is nobody can come, we wouldn't allow anybody to come in and use it as a gravel pit
Yeah,
or
you
buy
have
it
to
for a
do-
gravel
Is that
pit.
out of line for us to add a condition like that, or or how does that get, how do gravel pits get controlled?
There are no county regulations on them, and there's some state regs, but not a whole lot, so, because this is just a subdivision ordinance variance request and it's outside a shoreland area, I don't know that we really have the authority, and I wouldn't advise putting a condition on how the property is used.
Okay,
I would stick to anything that pertained to dividing the property.
okay. Other than what Mark brought up, and that is, under the subdivision ordinance, limit any further subdivision of the property. That's consistent with that. Okay. And beyond that, just with Veronica, I agree that 10 feet, to force it into that situation adds a lot more complication than is worthwhile. And since it's only one lot that's being split off, to force a plat doesn't make sense. So I'm open to a motion.
Public comment.
Oh, I am sorry, public comment. I'm right, I gotta read down my list here. Public comment. Any public comment? No, I will close public comment. Any more comments from the board?
Yeah, this is Veronica. I do have a comment. I personally am not sure that I would be open to any kind of condition prohibiting further subdivision of the property. I just don't want to penalize the applicant and restrict him or her future owners. I don't know if anybody's really pushing for that otherwise, on this point. But personally, I just don't want to further restrict the applicants or the future applicants from subdividing the 26-acre parcel in exchange for waiting 3 more years. If we approve this, they have to wait 5 anyway, unless they come again. So that's just my opinion.
I thought about that when I was considering it, but since most of the property to the back is wetland and not usable for anything else, it didn't seem to be a big penalty to just say, hey, no more subdivision of it at all. Just a thought. I know, Mark, what's your thoughts?
This is Mark. So Veronica, you're suggesting that because that 5-year would kick in, if we approve this as is, that's all that you feel we need to do here?
That's in my opinion, yeah. I
Yep.
just didn't want to restrict the future owners or the current
Right.
owners from they're gonna have to wait 5 years unless they come to another variance.
Yep, I guess in my opinion, I'd concur with that, Ken.
Yeah, the only other side to it, I don't see how you would subdivide it because there's no access.
Right,
To it.
so in that
really-
case,
And
we
through,
wouldn't need to.
Yeah.
by allowing a less than 300 feet access, which they have, there's really no other
Right, so,
choice on that property.
yeah, so they really don't need to put the condition on there then, since they really don't have any options.
Okay.
Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, but I can make a motion, if you're ready.
Okay, I will voice my opinion that I'm in favor of the condition, but,
Okay.
okay.
Go ahead.
This is Veronica. I make a motion to approve the application, adopt the staff's findings of facts with the correction to number 1. I would strike the first sentence because I don't feel like a condition is necessary. And on sentence 3, I would strike from the word "the" to the word "supports." So I would start with granting a variance to allow the house parcel to be created through an administrative subdivision instead of a plat, because one lot plat doesn't add any value to the county and its residents. And I would adopt the rest of the staff's findings of facts.
Okay, and this is Mark, and I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the application with the adjustments to the findings of facts. Motion made by Veronica, seconded by Mark.
Recording did.
What?
No, we're good.
Vice versa, right? Okay, sorry, pardon my stardust.
You're first.
And so, Mark, how do you vote?
This is Mark, I vote aye.
Veronica?
This is Veronica, I vote aye.
Okay. And this is Ken, I'll vote aye.
Motion approved.
Thank
So
you.
it's been approved. Any follow-up with paperwork and stuff, you'll have to work with the Environmental Services
Okay.
Department.
Thank
Okay?
you much.
Okay. Our second order of business is variance application 2-V-22 by Starlight Bay Resort LLC, part of Government Lot 6, Section 12, and part of the northwest one quarter of the northwest one quarter, and of Government Lot 1, Section 13, Township 140, Range 33, Nevis Township, on Crowwind Lake, a recreational development lake. Parcels 21.12.01210, 21.12, I'm sorry, 21.12.01310, parcel 21.13.00400, and parcel 21.13.00500. Applicants are requesting a variance from section 1013.7.c of the Shoreline Management Ordinance to exceed the allowed number of spaces provided for continuous beaching, mooring, or docking of watercraft. Applicants would please like to come up to the table. Pull the microphones close for old people like me who can't hear.
Hello,
State your name and
Dale.
address.
this is Dale Schroeder and my fiancee Brittany Barrett. The address is 27155 County 33, Nevis, Minnesota, 56467.
Address for both.
Both, yes.
Please state briefly what you are requesting and why.
We are requesting a mooring facility permit or the ability to have more slips for our docks. When we purchased the resort, we were under the understanding there was 12 for the seasonals and 1 per cabin, so 11 for the cabins. And then we found out, because we were told that we should get a marina permit from our neighbor. Well, after doing some research, we do not need a marina permit as we will not be offering any services or fuel or repairs. So we are requesting for a mooring facility ability so we can just be in accordance and compliance with the county. The previous owner did not have that set up that way, and we would like to make sure it is set up properly.
We'd rather get along than,
Okay, so if I understand the facts of the situation is that there was a conditional use permit back in '05 that limited the number of mooring, docking, beaching sites to the number of units in the first tier, which is 11,
correct.
and therefore you indicate there was like 26 in the past. That would mean that they
If you
were.
will take a look at the pictures
Yeah.
from previous.
The point is that they
They were,
obviously were
they were
in
going beyond
violation
what they
of
were,
that
correct.
thing.
But we
Okay.
would like to keep what they had, maybe add a couple more.
I also understand as a fact that you've constructed 21 sites in the Tier 3 at this point. And however, if the density were recalculated now, you would be limited to 25 additional sites, not the 44 that were in the original.
So currently, we have 21, so you're saying that we're only allowed 3 more versus?
You're still allowed to have them, but just that they would change. I was just trying to get at.
Correct. I'm not even sure that we want to put that many sites up there, as far as I'm concerned. That's taking up too much.
I'm just
The
trying to
lake's
state
500.
facts. I'm
Yep,
trying to state facts. Also, you indicate for the record that the DNR did approve for you to reopen
Correct.
an access point on your property near the source of the river as it exits East Growing.
Yes, and I believe you have copies of that permit.
Okay. Just stating the facts. Okay, I would open to any questions that the board would have.
Okay, this is Mark. Am I to understand that what you're asking is to simply have us approve what is already there?
What we had out there, we would like to have a couple more. If not, that's fine. Currently, we have, like I said, like you said, we have permission for 10. We would like to keep permission for at least what we had out there when we purchased the property.
Which was a total
Which
of
was-
20 when we purchased
Which was
it.
20 was on the lake.
Well, I'm just trying to
Yeah. If
better
we could at least
lay
get a permit
out.
for the 20, that would be amazing.
Correct.
But we would like to go a few more because we do have some rental boats. With the 10 cabins at the bottom of the hill, you know, people do bring their own boats. Plus, it would be nice to have a personal boat, just in case somebody has an issue, we have our own boat to be able to go out and address that. But it's not necessary. I mean, if we could keep, like, the picture shows, I believe, on one of the,
Right there you are.
that's the drawing of what we'd like to have. There is a picture of, from, I believe, 2002, and there's a picture from,
2002 and 17 that shows that
These
Sherman
pictures here.
had a similar layout back
this is the
in
way
the,
it was in,
that one
this was
was,
updated in 17.
Do you have any idea
Right
how?
there.
I'm sorry, yeah. Do you have any idea how long those non-conforming dock locations have been there?
We have pictures here from
dating back to 2002.
2002.
2002?
Correct. So that's why we just want to
That's why we
try and do
highlighted.
it the correct
We
way.
highlighted on the bottom here where the pictures, the dates of the pictures that we found. I believe there's, on my Onyx, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Onyx, a hunting app. I went back, the pictures from 2002, and they had
Can you verify
this
that,
on that
Eric?
picture.
That would imply that those docks were in violation even when the conditional use permit was approved in '05? Is that possible? Or is it maybe irrelevant to this discussion?
Eric speaking, what I've got on the screen is the '06 imagery. That would be the year after the conditional use was approved, and you can see one large dock here. That seems to be compliant. I can turn on some other years and see if there's, that one doesn't look too
So
bad
8,
either.
that looks like,
Yep.
it's hard to tell with the trees in the way.
That one from 2002.
Yeah, this one.
That one
There's the
looks
second
okay.
page to that. 2002. Yeah, this one's from
If I can submit, I
Approach.
believe you have the paperwork from this. This is what we're going up with there. There's the date stamp.
And then if you look at this one, it shows I could actually get the date stamp and the picture together.
That's where we got our information from.
One of the sources that I could show you guys that it has been operating like this for quite some time. I just prefer to play ball the correct way.
Were they using the access that the DNR approved for you or
No.
not? They were all using the
I
public
believe
one?
it was 10 or 12 years ago. The people that live across, I'm not sure, they have the wolf at the end of the driveway. And is it Anderson?
Nope,
speak
it's
to
not
the
them, it's the
microphone.
one next to them.
They actually dredged the river and
Oh.
moved the river from away from the shore,
Yeah.
moved it across. So when they dredged that, they caused a berm in front of the
Oh,
boat
okay.
launch. So they've given us permission to dig that berm out to where we can actually use that again. They're actually calling it a historical boat landing because it was built in '85.
Okay.
I guess I'm really old, I graduated in '85.
You're well aware of the fact that your request is very excessive compared to what normal number of docks would be allowed. I think if I understand the environmental services report, that if you were starting from scratch, you'd be limited to just 6.
I thought it was 1 per building down there, so that would be 11.
No, well, if you didn't have any buildings there, we're gonna start using the rules, science, if you will, in terms of what would make sense. It's 6.
Okay.
You are allowed 11 now, right? So 26,
So if I put, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if I put 11 docks out there, that's 2 boats per dock, correct?
no, it's 11 mooring slips, not 11 docks.
So I would be allowed to put
11
out
mooring slips.
5.5?
Huh?
5.5 docks?
Well, I don't care, you know, it's a matter of how you do your dock configuration,
Right.
whether it's slots for 1 or whatever. You could have 11 mooring spaces, which is, well, I'm gonna read the numbers, 83% over the density of the capacity. 26 would be 300-some% over. And even 130-some% over your current allowed number 11. Now, why is that important? The reason for limiting the number of docks and boats on a lake is to protect the environment,
Okay?
okay? And the safety, health, welfare of the people on the lake. If I do the numbers, if we were to allow these 26, you'd be, assuming there's about 120-some cabins on the lake, maybe not all of them have docks, I don't know, you'd be consuming 20% of the total capacity load for that lake. And you think about yours are being used on a regular basis, you are probably, if you had 26 boats that are used and guess, you'd be probably doing about 40% of the activity on the lake. And it's a small lake. And a recent study done by the University of Minnesota, St. Anthony Falls Research Center, says that current bigger speedboats, ski boats, wave boats, generate as much wave shoreland action destruction at 500 feet than what normal boats do at 200.
I know, I try
Now,
and
Yeah, I'm just saying. So therefore, assuming there will be people doing that, because that's kind of the experience that's happening, I don't know how wide Eighth Crow Wing is. You'd have to run right up and down the middle of it, right? All I'm trying to make the point is, your request is fairly excessive.
Correct. We're just trying to,
Yeah,
like I say, comply.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice, I mean, you can take a look at what my neighbor's got here. He's got pretty much what we're asking for, and that's pretty much what we're trying to do. It's also something that has been given to the people that were there prior to us, so they actually have been paying to park their boats out there. And now I took this over, redid contracts, found out had to have a permit for this. Now I've got to tell these people that are staying on top of, the hill. A lot of them are older. They come up, they spend the summer, they come up, they spend their weekends, they have their pontoons out there versus putting the boat in, pulling the boat out. It's a convenience for them. Most of them, I think there was probably half of them didn't even leave their boat slip.
correct. And I try and discourage high-speed
wake boat.
boats because our lake's just not fit for it. We have a smaller lake. It's just, to me, and it could disrupt. We have, us and the neighbor next door have water inflatables, and there's always kids kayaking to the river, so I try and discourage any big speedboats or wake boats.
We do let people know that when they want to rent from us, that we would prefer was fishing. It's a fishing lake.
any questions from the board,
Sure.
the
This is-
rest of the board?
Yeah. This is Veronica speaking. So when did you purchase the property?
June,
June of 2021.
yes, just about 7 months ago.
Okay, and when you purchased the property, did you go into ESO and review any of the documents that ESO had?
We did not. We were told this is what they had from the previous owner, and we went by what they had in the lake.
Okay,
And
so,
with what the realtor said and provided us with, so.
So in June of 2021, when you were out at the resort and you were looking at the property before purchasing, how many boat slips were there? 11 or 12? Is that what was out there?
There was 20,
Do we have
correct?
imagery from 2020?
We do, but it's
20 or 2021?
Either one.
Okay.
2020 is on the screen now, and you can see it was
was
flown late
before we
in the
opened.
season.
Part of the season opening.
2020, I believe they were closed due to COVID. Him and, or Sherm worked more.
2020, yeah, they were closed, they didn't even have docks out.
2017, there's the system that was in place.
So that just basically shows one dock here with about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 10 slips, right?
Correct.
In what year, 2017?
Correct.
And your property line ends right down to where that 2112-011.
It ends down, yes, all the way down to that red line down there. Not that one. There's that little,
That would
there's a,
indicate
There's
there's a
4 or
little
5
lot
years
there.
ago.
There's a little
There's a
square
small
right
square
there.
that belongs to a gentleman.
That little
On the
square
other
is the
side of
end
the
of your
river.
property.
That's not our property, that square isn't.
Huh?
That little square is not ours.
Yeah, but to the left
Right
of
there,
that.
yes,
right there.
yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
So this is Veronica again. So I was just trying to get at last year, or the pictures that you even showed us here, trying to see how many were actually on the water at the time. If you had 10 or 11 or 12. So if this application gets denied this evening,
Yes, we have
they're
the
still
seasonals.
capable of
And then
having
we had those.
11 slips, and only 11. Correct, okay. So, just, in my opinion, during viewing the property, the proposed boat lift and docking system with the frozen lake and snow cover wasn't very reasonable for me, because I couldn't see exactly what you're wanting. Previously, in the past, when we've done CUPs, we've been able to go out to the open water, we stand on the docks, we can see, yep, this is how many I have now, this is how many I want, this is how much space I have. So to me, this time of year wasn't a best idea to go forward. I understand you're wanting to kind of get things going.
Before
But
this.
with zero open water, I was not able to visually see the placement of your docking system and the boat slips and their location with them. That is what you said was out there before, but I didn't get to see what was out there because the
Right.
lake was frozen.
Well,
So
I-
I'm just saying, in my opinion, right now, that I'm not able to compare your request, not only to what you're wanting, but I couldn't even see what your neighbors have, because you've commented,
They're not
well, I'd
out.
like to have
Yep.
what my neighbors have. All I see is a bunch of,
There's a lot of
ramps and
docks on the-
lifts and
and
docks
on
up
the-
on the
yeah.
shore, which I couldn't tell how many's out there, what's what, and everything from there. So at this time, I couldn't view any of your neighboring properties, couldn't review any of the other resorts, or even just the neighbors around from what I could see. I looked around, obviously, all I could see is metal on the shoreline, so I don't know who has what and how much is what. So I think that maybe reevaluating this request at a later date, when there's open water, and we can visually see what the applicants are requesting, is better in lieu of seeing several docks and lifts strung all over the shoreline, like I've already mentioned. I'd like to personally see the current system in place, or what you have, or the 12 or 11 that you're allowed. I'd like to see that in place before I can see what the others are.
So my question for you would be, would you like us to have at least the 11 installed like we are allowed to in the spring, and then have you guys come back out? Or would you like us to put it out the way we would like it done so you could visually, because I didn't think so, but it, okay.
Yeah, so what I would personally, again, this is just my opinion as far as the board goes, I would like to see this either denied tonight, and you can reevaluate it in the spring when you can put what you're allowed, what you're reasonably, you're allowed 11, put your 11 out, and then move forward from that point.
Currently, we're only allowed 10.
11.
So you propose denying this now and have them reapply?
Yes.
Not table it, but actually deny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either way,
Yeah, no, what I was, another thought.
You could get to the May meeting.
yeah, tabling would also put us in some situations with our number of days that, they're only,
May.
Yeah.
We're scheduled to have our docks put in the week before May 1st.
Yeah.
In terms of reevaluating, another thought, there's clearly a conditional use permit that says 11,
Yes.
period, end of speech, okay? But sometimes strict adherence to something like that maybe isn't totally fair, and here's a thought. You've now been given approval for a dock, a load-unload dock,
The one by the boat
from
ramp.
the DNR. And I was thinking about this, okay, if they only have 11 slips, and there's gonna be traffic in and out, it could get congested, maybe not safe
In the
with a
river.
number of boats. So a thought I had in this discussion was, well, and I've seen this before, where maybe we allow one or two, what I call daytime docking slips at that access. It'd be limited to daytime only, and for people to load, unload, they're out boating for the day and they wanna come in and rest a little bit, they got no place to put their boat, whatever, so to have a couple of on the basis that 11 is still the requirement, to have a couple of just daytime tie-up spots beside just a straight dock out might be a fair way to go at sticking with the 11. Okay. You follow what I'm saying?
A little bit, would that leave us at 11?
Oh, yeah. No, it stays at 11, but in addition, there's just a little more space for them to load, unload, or temporarily tie up a boat during the day for an hour or two. Follow what I'm saying?
Okay, I
I mean,
do.
otherwise, think about it. If someone's out skiing, they're gonna launch at the public, launch here, okay? And then they're gonna have to pull their boat if they wanna take an hour break. Follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so, just as a thought, because I'm strongly in favor of sticking with 11. The amount of traffic and the amount of impact to the lake, a lake this size, we should not be allowing the amount of there. But I'm trying to deal with potential safety and accommodate a little bit their ability to allow people from the campground or wherever to use the lake without every time pulling in and out. Follow what I'm trying to get at? So,
Yep.
but I don't know how we do that in the context of this. Do we deny it, or do we accept and stick with 11 and add that to it? I don't know how we would go about doing that, but just a thought. Or if we table it or deny it, if they come back, that could be an option. Anyway, so.
Okay, this is Mark. I guess my thought on it is, listening to what Veronica had to say made sense to me. Eric tells me, I believe if I understood him correctly, that if we tabled it, we get to the May meeting. Now, and I also heard from you that docks are supposed to go in May 1st? Okay.
Yeah, we
So,
open May
I
1st.
kinda like her suggestion that if we could see the 11, actually visit it and see what that looks like, that would help me, I guess, to see whether I'd be in favor of allowing any more. So my inclination is to table it.
Okay.
If you two are in agreement with that, and then, see those docks in place. That's kinda how I feel.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're talking about, but giving somebody the option to park out there, that is the river exit. Boats are not gonna be able to sit there very well. The only reason I'm putting that is there, because when they let their boat out, it's not being drugged downstream. It's the only reason, even one boat, that's downstream. It's just safety. We don't want people having their boats go downstream as they're pulling their.
I'm not even sure if
You
the
drop
water
trailer,
is
You pull it out,
deep enough.
we've gotta dig out just that section.
Yep.
Because that section of bog, they've actually stapled
Dock
that.
with a couple of,
They've
with
actually
one
stapled
little
that
extra
into it.
arm that could just temporarily moor a couple of boats.
The way he's got us going out, basically straight off of the boat launch, it has to go straight out along the bog there.
The DNR dictated the pathway we have to clean out.
Because the river has been coming through and now changed its current, so it's actually been dumping all the green algae, all that stuff is actually dumping on our shoreline now. So our water, level has actually dropped. I mean, it's where the
How will
first
people, how
30
will
feet of
people
dock,
get
I
to your
mean,
dock then, if it's so
What's that?
constrained? How will people get to this one dock you're gonna put in there?
what do you mean, how will they get through it?
That is-
He's allowing us to open that up out to the lake.
Yeah,
That is why we got the
But it's
permit
just
from
gonna
the
be a
DNR
15-foot
to open
channel.
it, just so they
Yeah.
can
You
get
got a
in,
boat in there,
back
you're gonna
out,
try and
and
get
then.
around that with a river moving. Somebody's gonna
around
hit
the
somebody
open
else's boat.
channel, so a single
It's a
straight
single
out
in
dock
and
is
out,
about
yep.
all you can do.
Single in
Okay.
and out.
Yeah. Thought it
I
was
mean,
a
I
good
love the
idea.
idea, I thank you, but
Yeah.
I think for safety reasons, I don't think that's something I would even want to approach.
Okay,
And if I may, Eric speaking, two things to keep in mind related to your,
yeah, you gotta talk to the microphone, I'm sorry.
two things to keep in mind, Ken, related to your ideas, that the ordinance already does allow a dock by that access for day mooring purposes.
Yeah,
So they're already allowed that in addition to the 11 permanent sites.
okay,
The other thing to keep in mind, I believe it was in the staff report, was that if any type of variance is granted, because there's a condition on the conditional use permit saying that it's 11, they would also then need to apply for and receive approval to amend the conditional use permit to adjust that number.
even if they put just a load unload dock, they would also need that?
Not for the load unload.
If you're, if you're changing the number of
Oh.
permanent slips.
I wasn't calling them permanent slips, they're just day places to tie up. Not overnight, wouldn't have lifts or anything like that, it just,
And that's allowed. I was just wanting to make sure the board was
yeah.
considering things with that understanding that if you, say you approve 15 or 20, or the requested 26, the conditional use permit would need to be
Yeah,
approved to be amended for that same number, and if both approvals are not given, then they're still at 11 permanent slips.
Would it matter if we dropped it from 26 to the 20, just like it had here in the pictures with the 10 and the 10? I mean, we do have
12 and the 8.
1,450 feet of lake shore. I mean, we're not, when the DNR and Demi was out there, the DNR has no problem. They said that they prefer we went out into the lake. As far as I'm concerned, I'm impeding boat traffic doing it that way. They are temporary. They're only out for 5 months of the year. They're not impeding any snowmobiles. They're not impeding, you know.
so how far out do you expect that dock to run?
Actually, the way they've got it set up there is actually farther out than we have it, than it was out there before.
Correct.
Where's your drawing with how far the docks go out?
No, not that one, I mean the single dock for the
Are
boat
you-
access.
Oh, the boat access is only gonna be two 16-footers, it's gonna be 32 feet.
And you can get to navigable waters
Yes.
with 32 feet then?
Because if it'll actually, if you go to the boat launch, it'll actually be right along that bog. The DNR's pinned that bog right there. So it
Okay.
goes right along that, goes out 13 feet, it'll
Okay.
actually sit right on the edge of that.
So-
They back off of that, back into the channel, and they could drive their boat out.
Okay, oh, no, I got it, okay. So you'd have to, about 32 feet is what you'd
Yep.
have to do,
Correct.
okay? So you could tie up with the boat on each side, okay.
Well, they could, but if they tried to our boat ramp is only 10 feet wide.
Correct.
So, I mean, somebody has that's right there, you try and back in, you've got a boat sitting next to something that's only 10 foot wide, you're gonna back into somebody's boat. So technically, I don't think it's safe to have a boat parked there while you're trying to back in another boat. Because we're only allowed to open 15 feet of that, berm.
Yep.
I mean, he says we can come out 20, because it will have some slope. So once you open that up, you park a boat here, you're gonna have to try and wheel it around, so it's not safe to have a boat parked there.
Okay,
And then you
so
have to.
I need to
don't know how you
open
get
the
a boat on
meeting
other
for
side.
public comment. I close the meeting for public comment.
I'm sorry.
So what I'm hearing is that there's a consensus in the board here that we should table this until May and give us an opportunity to see what an 11 boat slip structure looks like and how it deals with the property line or the lines, how should I say, the shoreline
Yep.
as such. Are you okay with that?
Have to be. I want it.
Okay,
Get on.
so I would entertain a motion then if you wanted to.
Okay, this is Mark, and I'll make a motion to table this application.
Put the conditions of, table it till the May meeting
Okay,
that allows us the opportunity to observe an 11 dock or slip structure, right?
okay. Repeating what Ken said, we'll table this meeting till the May meeting, in which case we'll have had time to observe or look at your 11 slips, see how they look, and then make a decision from there at the May meeting.
Question?
Any question?
Sure.
How many slips is Inwigo allowed? I can't find that anywhere online.
And what?
How many slips is my neighbor allowed, Inwigo?
Well, Eric should answer the question.
Eric speaking, In-We-Go is operating as a non-conforming use, which means that they are not regulated in the same manner as your,
How do we get to that point?
that would be going backward, which isn't really possible.
So he doesn't have to have permission to have his boats out there, but I have to have permission to have mine out.
Due to the fact that you're operating under a conditional use permit.
Fair.
Okay?
The county should have, all resorts have conditional use.
This is Veronica.
I'm not finding that
They're
fair.
grandfathered in, and
I'm not finding that fair, I'm sorry.
I hear you.
Yeah. This is Veronica. I second the motion.
You second the motion? Okay, motion is made and seconded to table variance application 2V22 to the May meeting. Mark, how do you vote?
This is Mark, I vote aye.
Veronica?
Veronica, I vote aye.
Mrs. Can, I vote aye.
Thank you.
Okay. So you can work with Eric and we'll see you in May.
Yeah.
Know right away as soon as we have an official date for dock scheduling, so you guys can get out there.
Hopefully it's nicer weather than the last time you were there.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it'll be on the schedule for May. It'll be on the May agenda time in a lot few days.
Another permit to drop off anyways, so I'm in there all the time.
My question is if you, there is that other, something else you have to do after we're approved here, so even if you approved it at the May meeting, it still couldn't be done then, we still have to wait for another meeting for,
Another 2 meetings.
there's 2 meetings that we'd have to be approved for, so. Fun.
Okay, have a good evening.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Any, can I have a 3-minute break because of old man disease called I have to go to the restroom?
Well, we're done, we're concluded, Ken, short of adjourning, if you wanna.
Oh, okay, no miscellaneous things, anything else to say? No communications to add? Then I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Yep, this is Veronica. I make a motion to adjourn.
This is Mark, I'll second that.
How do you vote?
This is Mark, I vote aye.
This is Veronica. I vote aye.
And this is Ken, I vote aye.